I am award-winning published photographer and journalist Evan J. Thomas, and I'll be bringing you badass artists from the genres of music, art, sports, radio, as well as TV and movies. On the Badass Podcast, you will hear raw, bold, blunt, and honest conversation-style interviews where no topic is off limits. Check out the show at badassproductions1.com and go to the On-Demand tab and pull up the Badass Podcast where you can watch or listen to your favorite show. Get ready, because I am Evan J. Thomas, and this is fucking badass. So how you guys doing? Joyous Wolf, we got Nick, Blake. What's new?
Oh man,
What's
a
new?
lot of stuff actually. Yeah.
You guys are finishing up this run with Dirty Honey.
Yeah.
You got one more show left after tonight.
Uh-huh.
How has it gone so far?
So
What's it been?
awesome.
What's the energy been like after 16, 17 months off?
Fantastic.
Oh yeah, just explosive at first for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it dying out now?
No.
Okay, because you said at first, so that's why.
Yeah, well, just I mean the initial, of course, just like getting back into it is like, oh my god, this is amazing. But then like finding out how awesome the guys in Dirty Honey are and just how the music flows. Like people are coming to the shows for rock music, so it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean they're on like the people that they bring, like it's just a no-brainer of like, you know, we are a great pairing as a touring groups, you know.
Yeah, like you said earlier, we were at dinner, obviously. Nobody knows that, but we were sitting there
Well,
and you were
now they
saying, yeah, now they do, but you were saying how like there's not many bands around your genre that you kind of fit well with on tour.
Yeah, I mean it's not for anyone's fault other than I guess that's the industry itself. I mean, you know, we've been around a couple of years now, and what we have Greta Van Fleet, we have the Struts, we have Dirty Honey, we have.
There's a lot of your type of bands coming up, though,
Yeah, a lot of there's
Which is
tons
so
of
cool.
which is amazing.
tons of
Totally.
up and comers, but
Yeah.
like we were saying it earlier to you is like there's not a whole lot of middle ground. It's like either the Foo Fighters or like little club bands. There's not like a mid-range
Yeah.
really, you know.
I think it's starting to happen more though.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like with Dirty Honey, get
Yeah.
the #1, and bands like that are just like it's
Picking it
very
up.
hopeful. You know.
That's good, and obviously then that builds for you guys. You guys build.
It does.
Your fan base, and speaking of your fan base, I mean, you guys toured with freaking Deep Purple
Yeah.
2 years ago for like 8-7 weeks.
Mhm.
I mean, how was that touring with a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band?
So amazing.
Yeah,
It was
they're
great.
good.
It was a
Yeah.
wonderful learning experience, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, they were all very kind and super supportive.
Yeah, very personal too. You don't expect the members of a legendary rock band to be actually like personal to you, and it wasn't very much like they had bodyguards and they were hiding their face from us. It was like, hey, what's up every day, like sound check, and it was super cool.
So how many of your family members wanted to see them, like dads and stuff, just because it's Deep Purple? I mean, you guys are younger, obviously they're older, so they
Oh,
could
yeah.
be like your dads and grandparents.
No, my parents were
basically.
stoked to see them.
I know your dad probably
Yeah,
was.
no, my dad was absolutely stoked
Yeah,
for sure.
my family was excited too. It was cool because you know the name and everything and just the history, and to be a little piece of that was super cool, and I could tell that they legitimately respected us for what we did, and that was like the most meaningful thing I think to me.
Yeah, that probably did mean the most, is to get someone like that's respect.
And how was the crowd to you guys? Because obviously everybody's there, most everybody's there to see Deep Purple.
Yeah.
They see you guys come out. You got Nick doing flips and
I never had to
splits
work
and shit
harder
like
on a
that.
tour in my entire life.
Yeah, it was tough, man.
Really?
Every night was a war to get them to just budge, because you know it's a lot of sitting people, a lot of older folk, you know, and so. But you know, not that we weren't any more or less appreciative, because we were extremely happy to be there, you know, to support them and to be on that run. And I mean, we had a really like tumultuous year up to that point anyways. You know, we had been touring in the van for like the first initial like 4 or 5 months or whatever, something like that. And then when we got on that tour, we upgraded to some new things, and we got to, you know, they made it easy for us, you know, like they had a great crew, and we got catering every day.
Yeah,
that
so
was
many,
new.
so many things were upgraded for sure.
Yeah.
But the shows themselves were like, it was a great experience to be able to have the benefit of like a theater. You know, you turn up loud, you
Yeah.
play loud, all that kind of stuff, but then you also got to work hard for the crowd you're playing toward too.
Yeah.
So were they all sold out, the shows that you went to, or were they close to it?
Most of them.
Yeah, a lot of them actually were, I
Yeah.
think.
And when you guys went on, was there a lot of people there, or did they filter in later? Like,
No, actually.
They were all there
Yeah.
right when we would go on. There was a couple of mishaps where like the promoter got it wrong and like we ended up playing to a completely empty auditorium, and we thought that was hilarious. We were like, this is the funniest shit because it's just us playing, and like, you know, by the end of it a couple of people had trickled in. But that's actually like the biggest thing for Deep Purple, is that they felt responsible for that, which they weren't.
Yeah.
And they all came in their own way at different times to us to apologize about that. We're like, what?
Wow, that's like,
that was a big deal.
It's
It
pretty
was like,
epic.
wow, you didn't have to do that.
For sure, yeah. But like you're saying, no, when we started, because I think they gave us like an hour instead of half an hour before doors.
Okay.
So I think they really wanted people to like be there. And I don't remember playing a show where I ever thought that people were like hanging out in the lobby or like not there yet. It was always like the crowd that we played to was the same amount of people that Deep Purple played to. At least that's what I saw, that consistency what we played.
So were you the band that people didn't know were there? So the fans are out there to see Deep Purple. You guys show up. By the end of the night, they're like, "Holy shit! I need to know who Joyous Wolf is."
We definitely did well. I mean,
hopefully that was their
That's
reaction.
how I find a lot of bands. Is I go early, I check them out, and then that's how I found like Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown.
Yeah.
That's how I found them when I went to see who was it, Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top. It's like I went out to see them, and I was like, "Holy shit! They blew my mind." So I'm kind of figuring that might have been.
It was. I mean, we definitely got a lot of publicity out of it, and a lot of support. I mean, just for the name, and a lot of wonderful people that that still support us now. And but it was definitely the hardest shows that I, like, speaking for myself personally, I've ever had to do, because I really had to kill myself every night to make this, because I wouldn't go out there and do any less because I wanted the reaction.
Yeah.
So I had to work really hard.
And you, like we were saying, I was saying, you do the splits, you do jumps and
It was
flips.
It was a lot more than that. It was all just about like, okay,
Crowd.
because these people are it's always asleep every night. That's the difference playing with, like, when we played with Slash and Miles Kennedy and when we play with Dirty Honey. Those are very similar audiences where they're there for this, they love this, and they're open to whatever is about to happen, and that makes it a much more electrifying show because they're awake from 99% of the time. From the moment we get up there and ready to go, they're ready to go too, and that synergy is everything.
So you pull them in after a few songs, and then boom, you got them.
Yeah.
Try to.
Yeah.
And the
Because
rest of the night's freaking rocking.
well, yeah, because there's still people that always would have been during that tour who just looking at their watch their whole time.
Yeah.
And that's never going to change for some people, but you have to try.
You
I do
go for the majority.
Yeah,
I
always.
do that. So you were saying there were some shows that you guys played that the promoter screwed up.
Yeah.
Played in front of nobody. So we'll talk about playing in front of nobody. So the last 16 months we've been on the pandemic. You guys are back on tour. You guys played that live stream show.
Yeah.
How was that at the Whiskey A Go-Go, playing basically in front of just the crew? Because that had to have been an interesting situation, because me and Heather and I were sitting there watching it. You don't know the feedback that you're getting from the people.
We were having just fun with it. I mean, like, we'd never done anything like that before, so I don't think any of us were really taking it.
Was it like just a big practice?
Pretty much.
Actually,
Like
it really
extravagant
was.
practice?
Yeah.
It really was a big practice. Yeah, we tried to put as much energy into it as we would a regular live show, but I mean, because of the kind of band that we are, like, we are a very grassroots. Like, we started from nothing and we're slowly going as we can. So we've played in front of nobody plenty of times. So we know we're not like unfamiliar with that feeling of playing to the bartender and the sound guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the crickets was a familiar feeling in that way. So we weren't too out about that part.
And we were expecting it too. It's not really, you can't really feel disappointed about a crowd that can't be there.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
But so what was the feedback to you guys after the live stream?
the people who bought tickets we sold more than I thought we were going to, so I was like, hey.
We were excited for weeks.
I mean, we did make a little bit of like, in the grand perspective, we made a little bit of money. We didn't, it didn't hurt us to do it, so that was definitely
Now, one
something.
thing I asked you, actually, I think I messaged you after the show, and I said, do you have any posters of that T-shirt? I was like, I want one because I want it autographed. Do you think you're going to...
We can definitely make one. I mean, like, if you want.
I definitely want to get one. So, in the whole process of the pandemic, the last 16 months, you have been all over social media, doing your crooning and just doing cover songs, and basically, you've been the biggest promoter of not only just yourself but the band.
I think it's just
And
about.
it's been amazing.
I think everybody in the band has their own voice and personality and perspective on what they. For me, I don't know. I get bored, and I know him too. You know, we did some stuff. You know, we did some. We did like that cover of Stone Temple Pilots and stuff, and that was like near the end of it and whatever. But yeah, I mean, I was just bored, and I was going insane. You know, because I have to do things. I have to have things to do, and starting to like record little things for myself and whatever, the songs I like and whatnot. That was just my way of coping with the fact that there was nothing happening. But during that though, is when around the time that we actually really started to focus in on writing the album. That we,
there was like a halfway mark during the pandemic where the first half, because no one knew at that time whether it was going to be like the first 2 weeks were like, oh, this is a great vacation, like keep it coming. And then 2 months happened and we were like, do we have a job anymore? Like, what's going to happen to us? So
I think everybody thought that.
Everyone did. Yeah. So for the first half of the pandemic, a lot of people were like confused and scared and kind of depressed. And I know we were in that category of like, what do we do? And then I would say like a halfway mark, probably like 4 or 5 months, we were like, we can spend this time positively and like songwriting. And so once we kind of all switched gears, we started writing the album that we have finished now. And it was the greatest decision we've ever made.
Yeah, I mean, we were talked about this before. Is like really, it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of great that it happened, because we're kind of at this crossroads before where it's like we didn't really know what we wanted to do, and it looked like we were just going to be on the road indefinitely and trying to write an album.
Well, because we had a killer European tour booked just after a couple weeks break that we were going to go head out to, and looking back on that now, being like, man, we were going to play the same songs to those amazing crowds. It would have been a crazy experience, and we're like, thank God we got to write more material that we like more.
I mean, now we have way better songs and we're proud of them, and that's not even like a subjective thing. Like, just from this tour has proven that to me, as how much better our material has become and how much better we've become as songwriters. And it's just been electric. It's been so wonderful to see the reaction to the new stuff and to hear the feedback, and knowing that it wasn't just us being like, oh, these are great,
like, oh, we feel great about this, like the telltale sign of that is always like, oh, good set, guys, good set, like, oh, thank you, appreciate it. But then when the people come up and they're like, oh my God, what was that one song? Oh, I love that song. That honestly is the greatest.
That hits you more than the personal side of it.
Yeah, not that I'm saying we prefer compliments over one or the other. It's just saying when the songs are complimented rather than us, I feel like we've finally done our job there. Because we can jerk off and solo and play as much as we ever want to on stage.
I wasn't sure you were going with that.
Well, I mean, it happens. It happens every night.
You are on the audition couch. So
I know. It looks pretty clean though, so I'm okay with it. It's been for so many different ones on this entire. It's been this song or this song. I like that song or I like this song, and everyone's having their own little picks, and I'm getting so many different. Because I still go to the merch table every night, and I hear different things every night, and that makes me feel very prideful.
I was gonna say with stuff like that, because I've seen many bands, and this does this for me. There's songs that just hit me in different ways, and there has to be fans that come up to you and they kind of start to tear up. How does that make you guys feel when they talk about how like your music changed their lives?
Well, that's such an incredible experience, because that mainly happens with the material that's been recorded. Because just as music fans ourselves, when we get to listen to that, in headphones, and we're thinking the whole time, and we get to experience this ourselves, we're like, oh my God, this is like a part of me now. Like something someone else has made is now a part of me. And to be able to emotionally connect with that is amazing. So we have had that happen a few times where people have come up from the place and time stuff and been like, oh my God, like this song really affected me. And it's a crazy experience. It hasn't happened too much, but when it has, it's been pretty amazing.
I get a lot of since the release, so a lot being mild, like the last couple of years, the Feel the Low on our EP, I always get a lot of random DMs and messages from people telling me how that song has touched them in some way. So yeah, you know, and a couple times when at shows, people will come up and say stuff like that. It's always very like, I don't know how to feel about it, because it's like
It's
it's
probably
very,
like kind of weird for you in an interesting way.
because you write a song to, you know, like
in your mind.
Yeah, because like you know, you put lyrics down and you know how you felt, and then when someone comes up to you and they tell you how what their interpretation is, it's always fascinating. It's always different and really moving in a way, because it's like, oh, I'm glad that did for you what it did for me.
Yeah, well, the process itself is just so interesting, because you write songs as like you know, pushing energy outward, and then someone is describing taking energy inward and experiencing those, because you're like releasing emotions and they're taking in emotions. So to hear that side of it is like pretty crazy, because from our perspective, like we're just writing, a little bit like blowing steam, you know, like just writing songs. But for somebody to like have an appreciation of it, like very emotionally, is so cool.
So this new album that's going to be coming out, what can we expect? I mean, are we looking at, you know, the writing process? Obviously, it's kind of the same. What kind of topics are you looking at for?
Writing process is different.
What is it?
Very different, in my opinion. We spent, and just as an example, like majority of what was on the EP we had written in a couple weeks, and with this record we got to spend quite a long time on it. Like, how long do you think that process?
Well, we got to sit on it for a very good amount of months during the pandemic, obviously.
You
But so
have to think it over.
yeah, well, we thought it over, but then we got a very DIY recording setup at a rehearsal, and so we made sure, because our favorite part was listening back to the demos, because that listening back process lets us experience the music. Because when we're playing it, it's a great release, but then like afterwards, you're like, did the release feel as good as the capture, kind of? And most of the time, that's not the case.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. So elaborate on that a little bit, because I don't understand that part.
Well, I'm just saying, because like if a musician is like playing something that's very consciously and focus intensive, sometimes it's not very like capturing. If that
So
makes
you're
any
actually,
sense.
what you're saying right now is basically you're looking at it from a different perspective, not your perspective.
Yeah, well,
you're like a fan. Or
Because when you're
something.
playing it, you're in the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
When you listen to it, you're no longer in that moment. You're in this moment, reacting to this
Got it.
moment.
We honestly tried to just flush out as many things as we could, and then we tried to honestly like experience our own music, if that doesn't sound too weird.
Because we wanted to make sure that we got it right, and we wanted to make sure that every song got to its, you know, there's a couple along the way that just,
Pull apart.
you know,
Yeah.
but that was cool and that was fine, because when we got to the stuff that is on the record, we were like, we have, you know, there's just this feeling of like they have reached their incubation. You know, they're all there, and they're all in the form that we wish that we could get them. And again, producer Jay Rustin helped us sonically accomplish that.
Yeah.
And he just knew everything that we wanted to do, and he was always up to experiment and try different things, and
The capture of it is so important though, because that's how we wrote them. We wrote them with the intention of that capture, and so he just made it better in every way. Like, so we can't thank him enough for that still.
So what are we looking at in terms of timetable on the new music?
Oh, you know.
It's,
I know you can't
a
give me
new
any-
single this year, and hopefully it'll come out early next year. The whole album will come
Hopefully
out.
sooner.
Hopefully
And,
sooner.
and hopefully tonight we get to hear some of the new stuff. Is word that I've been hearing around.
85%.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
new
it's
material.
probably just could be new material. Maybe even more than that. I don't actually have any actual math for it. But
We, during a 75-minute set for a headlining show, we play three songs from the first EP.
Yep.
So the rest is total new stuff.
And then from here you go into where is it?
Indiana.
Indiana. And then you got a date in Colorado.
Yep,
Yeah.
on the way
And
home.
then you got some festivals in July.
Yeah, we get a nice 2-week break in between that, I think.
You can do some resting and have some more sushi.
Some resting,
Yeah,
some
sushi.
guitar buying, some songwriting. The typical
Sushi.
musician. Yeah, sushi.
Yeah,
exactly.
sushi.
Next time you're in town, if you're out over in West Dundee area, we are going to my favorite sushi.
All right, we're going.
Dude, that'd be great.
All right.
It's,
happy to
it's
go.
one of those boats that go around. And
Oh, fun. That's
I'm buying
awesome.
You're buying?
I'm buying it.
I'm going to my favorite
All
place. So there you go. And let's see, you got this show, the tour, a couple festivals. Anything for the fall?
We're looking into that.
Hopefully.
There's some
You
stuff. There's some
motherfuckers.
stuff, but we can't talk. We
I
don't
know.
know yet. We don't know yet.
We're the
can't
most.
say anything.
We're the most
I'm
cynical
trying.
people.
You know I'm trying.
I know.
Even if there's prospects, they're like, no, it's like 90%. And we're like,
It's
that
not
might
gonna
as well be 0%.
Yeah. Like we hope it doesn't happen then.
Yeah.
Unless it's 100% happening.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, gentlemen, I can't wait to see you guys. It's been 2 years.
Yes.
Crazy.
Almost 2 years since I've seen you on stage. But just loving the music.
It's a whole new band.
Thank you
You're gonna
so
see a
much.
whole new band.
My man Nick, Blake, pleasure,
man.
gentlemen, and Badass Productions, Badass Podcast, Rock Hard with Evan J. Thomas. Did I forget anything else? Planet Rage Media. There you go.
Bye.
I am award-winning published photographer and journalist Evan J. Thomas, and I'll be bringing you badass artists from the genres of music, art, sports, radio, as well as TV and movies. On the Badass Podcast, you will hear raw, bold, blunt, and honest conversation-style interviews where no topic is off limits. Check out the show at badassproductions1.com and go to the On Demand tab and pull up the Badass Podcast where you can watch or listen to your favorite show. Get ready, because I am Evan J. Thomas, and this is fucking badass.